Good morning, Mishack. How are you?
I'm good, thanks yourself, Lisa.
Good, 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 man. I'm looking forward to today's session.
Lovely, me too. So yeah, I've done
So, just to summarize where we are, we
Mhm.
had our first MTP session last week, and we started working through the questions. And we came across a few challenges where you needed to go and rethink. It's not challenges really, hey? It was
Mm.
food for thought. I think it's a very good way to phrase it.
Yes.
And you were going to go away and rethink some of your responses to the questions based on the outcome of the session we had. And the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of today's session is for us to go back to that and then to for you to take me through that, and then we'll see where we are. So you're
Yes.
going to share, and if you wouldn't mind making it a little bit bigger, maybe to 75% or page width. There we go.
That's fine.
That's perfect. So
All
good.
right, great.
Thanks.
All right, cool. So yes, like you said, we had our session yesterday, and I mean last week, and then we had a few. We can just say question marks. Then we decided to obviously put on hold, and for me to go back and um, reflect on those answers and so forth, which I did. I listened to our recording, and yeah, it basically took me back to some of the things that I had sort of lost touch with since I've been doing this. So I don't know if you want me to really jump into it.
I think so, yeah. So maybe as a refresher, let's just go through the first couple of questions. We
Mhm.
really had to go back to what is the world hunger for and why, what would we do if we could never fail, and what would we do if we received $1 billion today. It's
That's correct.
very
Yes.
likely that some of those questions might have impacted some of the previous answers.
Mhm.
So did that happen?
No, they didn't. So the previous answers still remained the same. The only changes that I made was on obviously those three questions, which
Okay.
is what does the world hunger for and so forth. So when I looked at it, it sort of made sense to me. So, but I don't mind obviously studying through the first
Let's
question.
yeah, let's just quickly go through those
Mhm.
without debating it or discussing it and so on, and then we'll get into the crux of the last three questions.
All right, great. So the first question was what do we really care about and why? And I answered I really care about people and seeing people progress in their lives because I think that I think and believe that people are the greatest gift that God ever gave or made. And number two, what is our company's purpose on this earth and beyond? We've said, yeah, we want to create sustainable jobs by creating entrepreneurs who will continue creating sustainable jobs. We want to showcase how the business world. Uh, we want to showcase the business world how to create businesses that benefits everybody involved in them. And now here's that question. What does the world hunger for and why?
So just
So
to go back to why we came back to this question is that you answered it from your perspective
yes,
and
yes,
not
yes. Actually,
from the world or community's perspective. So let's
yeah,
see what you have there.
yes. Exactly that. When I answered it initially, when I did this exercise, it was entirely based on me. And I remember my answer started as I personally believe, and that was very biased to just me. So, but now after we had reflected on some of the things, I had to be realistic, because you basically what you call this simplified it for me and said, Mishak, let's not think the world. Let's think about your world as in your community. What is it that you believe that your community hungers for and why? And honestly, the honest answer is my community really needs jobs. for them to simply be able to provide for their families and to be able to reduce the crime in our community, because most of the crime that's happening in our community is mainly due to the fact that people are unemployed and drug abuse and so forth and so forth. So people really are really in need of jobs.
And I think this approach, Mishack, instead of dealing the symptom, the crime, the drugs, the alcohol abuse, the gangs, which are symptoms of a greater problem, which is people don't have jobs. With you know, if we potentially will solve the symptoms from enabling them to gain access to jobs. So that's very good. And how do you feel about this? Do you still feel that passion about people and creating sustainable communities? Do you see a fit there?
I still do see a fit in terms of what the solution is, right? The solution is, if we create those sustainable jobs, then the symptoms or the after effects of unemployment would then be dealt with automatically. It will resolve the issues that we are currently facing in our community. So yes.
So we're not at solution yet, because we don't know how we're going to create those sustainable jobs yet. So the MTP is going to inspire us to get towards the how. We're still in the why stages.
So do you think
so how the sustainable jobs will be created will be the how, which will support the MTP where you will get. So we're still in the why. So we just a word of caution there, that we shouldn't use the word solution yet, because then we boxed ourselves immediately in potentially limiting ourselves for what potential house could be for the why.
And I see that when I already have a diploma.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So I'm going to remind you, I've mentioned this months ago when we started the ACE program in the community, is remember the golden circle, the why and the center. We have our why.
Okay.
Then we
how many years of experience do you have?
The why, and then the what we are going to do. But until we are clear on the why, which in this instance is your massive transformative purpose, is why do you do what you want to do, we'll get to the how later, and then after that, the what. So typically, very important, typically we've been conditioned to start with the what are we going to do and how are we going to do it. This approach flips the coin. What's my MTP? The why. Why do what I do, and what why I have this passion I have. Then we'll get to the how and the why. I'll send you that document on the golden circle again. It's powerful. We need to uncondition the way we think, or recondition the way we think.
Yes, I remember it a bit.
Cool. It's important. Also with when you guys talk to the work you do and so on, keep it in mind. So why are we doing this? How are we going to do this? And what are we going to do to achieve the how? And the how is going to help us achieve the why.
Okay.
And
all right, cool. Makes sense.
Good. So let's look at the next question. What would we do if we could never fail, and why?
Sure. That's a very long answer. Because like I said, having listened to the recordings and that did a thorough inner research, then it reminded me of why I actually wanted to start this, my why. So my answer is entirely based on that. Let me quickly just book this until 12. Okay, cool. So I was just booking the boardroom because I realized the guys are busy sourcing, so they definitely going to be disturbing this session. So I've just gone to the boardroom. So my why is What could we do if we could never fail, and why? So I've said here, I will continue on my vision or a dream I have had since 2012, 2013, which is to start a business I used to call Batu Business Networking. Start an ecosystem of entrepreneurs who produce products locally and offer services locally. This would include retail shops in that retail shops that will sell locally produced product, and they will interchange their services amongst themselves and their products as well. And then we obviously then hire local people and be able and what you call this, and be able to hire those people locally, and the people buying from these businesses get points or credits and discounts just so to motivate them to buy the products. The system will eventually benefit everybody involved in it. And the reason for me to want to do this and wanting to do this is that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs scattered all around, and they are working solo, and they fail in their journey as entrepreneurs because they do not have a support or a community that they could work together with in order for them to succeed in their entrepreneurship journey. And the power of collaboration will be able to help them scale their businesses, and we will also help them create the market needed in order for their businesses to scale. That is, and the why is the power of collaboration would scale their businesses.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very long answer. So, like I said, what this brought, it brought about that young me when I was, I was now starting to think of, okay, I need to go into a business and help the community. How could I do it? So I had this version of the companies. I used to call it Batu Business Networking. We've changed the name now. That's how me and Tsotetsi started to be friends. The vision started in 2012, 2013, partnered up with Tsotetsi, I think in 2015, 2016. And we've since been working on it, but we're just not able to get it right because we feel like it's very, very, very massive and big. And what I've decided to do is I've decided to unpack it into phases. And Tsotetsi is doing a different phase on his end separately from the business, and I'm also doing my phase on my end separately from the business. But eventually in future then we would then merge the two. So that's what I would actually do, because it's got a lot of impact in terms of job creations and also creating an environment where entrepreneurs feel they have enough support, they've got enough resources to to learn in order for them to be able to scale their business. And not only that, I mean, which is what you guys are currently helping me, you and Craig, systemizing my my business, to start working on my business as opposed to be working in my business.
Right. Can you go up? I just want to quickly read through this one more time, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's interesting how you've pivoted.
Say it again.
It's interesting how you have pivoted. Let me quickly read through this.
Mm-hmm.
Please scroll down. Please scroll down. Please scroll. Okay, scroll down, please. Okay. It's interesting how this pivoted from where we were, isn't it?
It is. It is. And
okay.
I thought,
yeah.
And I thought as much. And like I'm saying, when I was listening to this, and especially the passion that was coming out as I was listening to it.
Did you hear
I,
that? Did you hear
yes,
yourself? I'm so glad you went
yes,
back and listened.
yes. And then I I sort of now started to remember what was my why, what was the initial reason I wanted to start, being an entrepreneur and so forth. So then I genuinely decided to to say, what, let me be honest with myself and be pure with myself, and perhaps that's when I can take the right direction. Because what has happened along the way is I've met people who've told me, like, look, your vision is impossible to achieve. You are better off starting a business that you know and understand, which is obviously at the time recruitment, because what I had been doing for so long. And well, in actual fact, this business is currently the only business that is showing pure growth and success, because something that I've done. But it was not the initial idea I wanted to start and become an entrepreneur for. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So
No,
when I
I'm
was
with you
answering,
100%.
yeah,
I'm with you
when I
100%.
was answering my MTP now, I decided to say, you know what, scratch what everybody else has said, scratch the truth and the reality and facts around me. Let me go back to what was my initial why. Why did I want to start the journey of becoming an entrepreneur? So that I'm true to myself. And if I'm true to myself, then I can then be able to push and have that inner drive to be able to get to the level I need to be
Yeah.
with this particular one.
I'm glad you got to this point, because it was very, very clear to me from first engagement on this journey with Craig and myself
Mm-hmm.
that you're doing something because you had to. It was easier to start doing,
Mm-hmm.
and you got caught up in that,
Mm-hmm.
versus listening to what you are really saying without you really hearing yourself at that point in time. It was very obvious that um, I was concerned about how will the passion for what you're currently doing sustain you in true passion, because we are fueled by our passion. And and we did say that this could potentially happen, that you will pivot, but that we will still enable you to get in place what you need to for the existing businesses to continue while you build on your MTP.
Mm.
So this is not a bad case to be. It's actually a very good place to be. Do you agree with that?
I do, but it's also an eye opener. I very much agree.
Oh, yeah, it's good. It's scary, isn't it? Do you feel scared?
It-
Do you feel excited?
exactly.
Do you feel excited?
Yes, but mostly scared, and yes, excited, but mostly scared, to be
Good,
honest with you.
good,
Yeah,
good.
it's very scary. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Which is great. Just go to the left, please. I think it's your left as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you drop to the paragraph, it might excite and scare you. There's
Wait.
more there at the top. So it's if you go to the top of the page, it's the top, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph.
Oh yes. Oh wow.
Okay, and
Yes.
this is a good thing, and it's you are in good hands, especially with Craig, who has done this multiple times, and he's been very successful, and currently he is persevering with this other big dream that was inspired a couple of years ago, and the reason we keep going through these tough times are because we are so passionate about what we're doing. So with you pivoting now doesn't mean that anything or everything else needs to come to a standstill. All this
Mm,
means is that we're going to continue with this journey with Craig, where he's
mm,
helping you to digitize and me helping you to digitize your expertise in the other businesses so that it can
Mhm.
continue operating without you being operationally involved,
Mhm.
so that we can start building your MTP and executing the MTP. This is cool.
Mm.
Let's go back to the last question, the $1 billion question. Oh, you should hear your voice, hey? Is there a little bit of emotion there?
Yeah, it is. It's like I'm saying, it's a bit of a scary thought. And as I was answering this, I'm like, oh my goodness. And now that we are actually seeing, because I thought I was the only one seeing that, to say, look, now I'm definitely pivoting from everything that I'm currently doing or I've been doing. And because it's something that I've also been doing for so long. It's been now, I mean, this is my 5th year running my business as I have been. And it's almost becoming, or it has almost become my one thing that I do, I live, and the question that I was asking myself the last December was, but I have been doing pretty much almost everything that I know I should be doing in my business. And it's grown, it shows potential, but there's something missing. But I just could not put it together as to what that thing is. And when you first sent me this document, I'll be honest with you, because it's a document that we worked on before. I was like, oh, Liezel and her document again. I don't think this is going to change anything. And since the session that, I started doing this, and then last week's session and this week's session, I'm just thinking it's amazing what this 2-pager document can do, in making yourself realize that perhaps you are doing something because it's circumstantial, it's not your drive. And maybe that is the thing that I have been missing in order for me to be able to then give in everything that I can in order for me to scale my business.
It's amazing. So what I need to tell you right now is that it's good that you're scared. But it's going to, once we've got this MTP down, and it's something you're going to repeat and talk about and be inspired about, we are going to put a plan in place to still enable you to enable your other businesses while you build your MTP or build it out. So you're in a safe place, in a scary, exciting, safe place. And you will see when we get back to that MTP, I will then help you to manage and allocate focus, the energy focus, where X percentage to XY and X large percentage to MTP. So that it's going to be important for us to ensure that you do not feel overwhelmed in the process, because you still have the other businesses, but we've got a plan in place for that. And you're going to execute your MTP. But if you feel overwhelmed, don't worry. We'll put a plan in place that will help you manage that. So
Nice.
let's get to that last question. Something popped up on your side. Okay.
Yeah, I see it, and it's very slow to move away. There you go.
All those notifications. They're at the top right. There we go.
Yeah. All right. Now what did I do? Okay, cool.
So let's see what we're going to do with your $1 billion.
Okay, cool. So what would I do with my $1 billion? I would buy land across the provinces where we would then have a footprint of the BBN model. The model will then be replicated in each province, have multiple services and products to sell in the model, and get like-minded entrepreneurs and provide them with the training needed to make their businesses scale, or to make their businesses succeed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, essentially what you've described here is the cooperative business model, which it comes down to, which is cool, but we're not going to get caught up in words. Now let's get to your first. Are you happy now with the questions that you've answered?
Yes,
and the
I
answers
am.
provided,
Yes.
and especially the whys behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to quickly on this $1 billion question, if you go to the last sentence. So the training needed, it's going to really focus around, and I'm just going to use the word ecosystem because you have started an ecosystem of entrepreneurs. So the training needed will focus on being a successful entrepreneur within an ecosystem to create a sustainable community.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Are you happy with that?
I am. Yes.
Okay.
That's basically what it means. Yes.
Okay. So that could essentially put you in the training business. Or do you see more of a really being involved in a cooperative business model? And it's not just training, it's coaching, it's helping people start up their little businesses, participation in the ecosystem. So it's bigger than just training.
I see it as bigger than training. So
so can yeah, I'm listening. I beg your pardon.
No worries. So I think in the model, saying provide them with the training needed. So we are getting these like-minded people within the ecosystem, but we are making sure that they are well equipped over and above. So when I say training, I mean like well equipped or oiled enough for them to be able to scale their businesses. It's beyond just training. Yeah.
Because I don't want us to get stuck on that, because that might dilute your MTP. So do you think that maybe we can provide them with the knowledge, the skills, the resources that they need?
Yes, there you go.
And resources. Doesn't mean that you're going to give them money. The resources mean you can, remember you said buy the land, to be the land where the ecosystem is going to function. And you don't necessarily to think of, I just want to put a thought out there for you to start thinking about. Remember, one of the attributes of exponential organizations are, what's it called, assets? The shared assets. I'm not using the exact right words now, but it's identifying the assets within a community that will enable the community, instead of buying land, there could be existing land available, because as an exponential organization, shared assets, if you do not want to have your capital locked up in an asset.
Okay.
So that's why the asset attribute is an attribute, shared assets is an attribute of exponential organization. But in essence, it comes down to what you're trying to do. So when we get to building and using attributes for the achievement of your MTP, that will come through quite strongly. So you will, if you had $1 billion, you'll make sure that there's access to the land, to the assets, doesn't matter what it is. It could be property, it could be a building, it could be people, it could be experts, etc. That's where you can establish a footprint of your business model, of the Bar2 business networking model. We'll just utilize the attributes of exponential organizations to achieve it. So let's not get caught up in this, but I'm just making the point that, there's a reason exponential organizations exist. And that's one of the reasons.
It makes sense. It does.
Now, write the first sentence of your MTP, your first draft. Given all of this, do you want to read through your answers and then have a stab? Because I would
Yes,
like
Matt.
us to get to a version of your first draft MTP. Then we'll look at that against the characteristics of an MTP, and then you need to go away and sleep on it, and then we'll come back and do a second version. So read through this. I'm going to mute on my side, read through that, and then have a stab at your first draft MTP. You can also read through on the left-hand side what, after you read through your answers, go back to the left, read through that, and then have a stab.
Yeah.
How we do that. Okay, I'm going to
Yes.
mute on my side, and then you take your time doing that.
All right, cool. Thanks. Yeah. Liezel, are you there?
I am.
Okay. I think I tried to make it as, because I'm looking at these MTPs as well. Nice and short. So I don't want to keep mine too long. So I did my best. I hope it makes sense to create an ecosystem of both entrepreneurs and consumers working together in creating a self-sustainable community.
So you can even make that shorter. If you go up
Okay.
again.
Yes. Okay.
So, okay, go up. So to create an ecosystem of entrepreneurs, really saying and to create an ecosystem of entrepreneurs and consumers, if you then go down. I can't see the next line.
You can't see this line.
Okay, it just came out. Working together in creating, sorry, and go down again to the next one. So you can just say collaborating. Okay. Living, creating a self-sustainable community. Sorry, if you can go up again. To create an ecosystem of entrepreneurs and consumers collaborating in creating a sustainable community. So I don't think you need the word self as well. Collaborating in creating a sustainable community. In creating sustainable communities. You don't want to create just one.
Yeah.
So it is still long.
Yeah.
But that's fine because we're going to work on it. It's the first version. So to create it, can you make it maybe smaller, the font size? Can you do it on your version of PDF? You go to edit. Which version are you using? No, not there. Not, it won't be on a. I'll go to text style. Yeah, at the drop down at the pop-up box. No, come back to where, come back to where you were. Right click. So let's check something. I don't know which version you're using. Textile. Do you see textile in the pop-up box?
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's not there. So usually on mine, if I go edit at the top tab, you go right to the top. Okay, to the left. Edit. You didn't select the text. I selected text. Are you using a premium version of PDF?
No, I'm not using.
Okay, no, that's fine then. Okay, so
let me just see.
No, so there's usually edit and tools. If you go in the edit tab.
Right. Let me see. I just want to see it.
Edit. With you.
And then no.
Okay. And yeah, so if you don't use that, go to tools on the right here. If you look at the right of your screen, you'll see a tab tools. There we go. Edit PDF. Edit. No, it's below. There we go. There's edit PDF. Okay, now you okay, click start now. It's taking online. Wants you to
online.
No, that's fine. It's fine. No, it wants you to subscribe. So that's fine. Yes. To create an ecosystem of entrepreneurs and consumers collaborating in creating a sustainable community. Okay. Now it's a bit long, I think. And I don't know if you read that MTP to me and read it with passion and commitment and listen to yourself. Aloud. Read it aloud.
Okay, to create an ecosystem of entrepreneurs and consumers Collaborating in creating sustainable communities.
Okay, so the word creating is coming up a few times. So we can shorten this a lot, but you need to do that job. So
yes.
Yeah, so if we go to those examples on the left, so you've got the word create coming up twice. So if we look at it, like to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, Unilever to make sustainable living commonplace, Google organize the world's information. Let's go back to your version. You can actually close. That's fine. So if you need to rewrite that as a first draft, so do you think that to create an ecosystem or create sustainable ecosystems
Yes.
of entrepreneurs and consumers?
Say that again. Create
A sustainable ecosystem.
That does sound good.
To create sustainable ecosystems, so you can actually to create sustainable ecosystem of entrepreneurs.
Here's a word. This word.
Entrepreneurs and consumers.
And consumers.
Okay, so I could make other suggestions here already again. So but we're going to do a check of this, and you need to go and find something that inspires you. So to create sustainable ecosystem. It could be a solution, but you specifically have a focus on the entrepreneur. To create sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurial enterprise, which suggest entrepreneurs and consumers, and it suggests producers, which is your entrepreneurs and your consumers. So to create sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurs and consumers, you can leave it like that for now, because you are still going to work on this. As a first draft, what do you think now?
Yes, this is much nicer, short, yes.
You're not just going to create one ecosystem, you can create multiple systems. Create sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurs and consumers. Okay, so that's shortened, but does it meet the requirements and does it inspire and motivate you? Now let's go to the checklist on the following page to the left. Following page. So let's look at the check your MTP, where it includes the following qualities. So the first is, so let's remind ourselves to create sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurs and consumers. Does it describe a desired state of the world, your industry, or your community?
Yes.
Okay, tick box. Is it highly aspirational?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to think about this. So it's definitely highly aspirational. From what perspective? Why are you saying yes?
I'm saying yes because to create sustainable ecosystems for entrepreneurs and consumers. So it does speak to exactly what it is that I would like to have. And it's inclusive of the people that are going to be involved within the ecosystem. So is it highly aspirational? I think so. I think so. Because it covers the people or the group that is important or essential to the ecosystem, which is both entrepreneurs and consumers. We are not just focusing on one aspect.
Okay, and if you think back you're wanting to introduce the collaboration effect. You want to introduce the collaborative business model, the localized economy within your community. Does it also talk to that? Because that's essentially what you described, the localization of the economy in a community.
Mm-hmm.
So it talks to that as well. That's essentially what you described when you answered the question.
Yes.
Is it unique?
I'll think about that, but I like it. I think it is. I think it is.
Why do you think it is?
Well,
I think we've done before in South Africa and in communities in South Africa as an example. Those models exist, but what you want to do, is it unique and is it uniquely described in your first
in
draft?
my MTP, the first draft. Yes.
Why?
It is. It's very unique. I think it's been done before, but not done in the way we are going to do it. Is because with most businesses or MTPs or organizations that exist out there, they more focused on the entrepreneurs than they are on the consumers. So with this one, it's both focused on both of them, and the way we're going to do it. I think it's unique, but I still think I'm not happy with my answer per se. So let me.
So we're not going to go back to that now. We're just going through the checklist.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to, this is just your first draft MTP, hey? You're going to definitely have a second draft and so on. So let's look at the following quality. Is it audaciously massive, touching an industry, an entire community, or the entire planet? So you want to create sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurs and consumers. I just want to quickly go back to, is it unique? So generally speaking, the development of entrepreneurs include the focus of selling products and services to their consumers. But the way that the consumer's participation in the model is defined is making your what you want to do unique versus the traditional way of getting a consumer to participate in the business model. So from that perspective, it's definitely unique. Now, so is it audaciously massive, touching an industry, an entire community, or the entire planet?
Yes,
I agree. You can if you want to consider adding in Africa or in South Africa. But as it's there at the moment, is you're not limiting it to a region or anything, and not excluding anyone from it either. Is it transformative?
Yes.
So why?
So let me understand. Is it transformative in a sense of, is it going to transform the community or the manner in which we are doing things? Definitely it is, because it's going to give everybody involved in it within the ecosystem and accountability to be accountable to making it become a success. So it's very transformative in a sense that there's nobody who feels like they are left out within the model. So everybody is important, and everybody needs to participate, needs to do their part for this whole thing to become a success.
So do you think it will transform how communities currently operate in terms of not having access to jobs, in terms of solving the symptoms of crime, drug-related problems, and so forth, in terms of people taking accountability and responsibility for creating these sustainable ecosystems within their communities, for people to become less dependent on handouts and a significant shift in mindset change. Do you think that will all happen?
Yes.
So it's
Most definitely.
hugely transformative.
Yes.
So is the purpose, the why, clear and unmistakable?
Yes. It's very clear now. To me, it is.
Okay,
It's very
so
clear.
keep in mind the purpose of the MTP is a hugely inspirational and aspirational MTP. Other people will understand it. They'll understand the why without you having to explain to them what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
And it will attract the right resources, people, funders, in everything you need. It will track what you need and the right what you need. So, and we're going to test the MTP in a moment.
Mhm.
So I'm going to challenge you on that one later again. So,
Okay.
is there a sense of passion and meaning?
There is.
Why? What do you say that?
In terms of passion, the passion comes out where we're saying we want to create, creating an ecosystem of entrepreneurs and consumers. It just gives you that you understand what this person wants to do. You understand what this organization wants to do, or what Mishack wants to do based on this. So I believe that because there's a human involved in it, there's that passion that comes out to say it's not inhumane. Passion you find from a human being, and we've made
Yeah.
we've made mention of that.
So it must feel, MTP must inspire passion and meaning within others as well. I'm going
Mm.
to just start a version here to help you hear the difference. So currently it's stated as to create sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurs and consumers. Second version, to create sustainable ecosystems. Well, now I've got my words, I beg your pardon. To create sustainable ecosystems of, I wanted to use the word communities, but there was a word attached to it. So to create sustainable ecosystems of thriving communities. Do you hear the difference?
I
To
do.
create sustainable ecosystems of enterprises and consumers versus to create sustainable ecosystems of thriving communities. Keep that in mind.
Yes.
Because you need to come back to these qualities, because it needs to inspire passion and meaning, not only in Mishack, but in your future on customers, in your future funders, in everybody you're going to attract. So let's look at remove these qualities. If you can scroll down, please. So I still to page 2. There we go. Remove these qualities. Is it a vision statement and about the organization?
I don't think it is.
Okay, so just the fact that you use the word think means you're thinking about whether it is or not.
I am. So also what I've been trying to do is also just write down the last two drafts you gave me, and I'm thinking about them. The last one, which is creating an ecosystem of a thriving communities, that doesn't have a vision statement about.
Where the
Yes.
first one's bordering closer on a vision and a mission statement, and
Yes.
the how. So when you said create sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurs and consumers, do you see how you started going towards the how?
The how, yes.
Mm. Is it restrictive to future business models where you have sustainable ecosystems of entrepreneurs and consumers? Do you hear a little bit of restriction there? Because
I
in
do,
your
yes.
first draft, you are saying that this is how you're going to do it, and it's going to be through entrepreneurs and consumers.
Yes.
Okay. So is it a marketing slogan for customers? Is it a sentence for customer, the you? Is it a sentence for us, we? Is it about the business? So those are all the qualities that we need to remove. And a couple of them are featuring, not all of them, a couple of them are featuring, like we've discussed already. So it is a little bit restricting. It is bordering on a vision statement and a mission statement of the how, which you've introduced. And there still seems to be, in terms of it's lacking a little bit of passion and meaning and purpose for not only Mishack, but for other people, for your community and for your crowd as well, which again is another attribute of exponential organization. Now let's just quickly do a role play on the existing one. If you go to the right of this page, before we draft the next one, and this is what you're going to go by going away, but I want to take you through this quick test, this cocktail party test of your first draft. So it's an interesting exercise. So you're going to wherever it is. This one I think refers to a pub. I don't know if you hang around in pubs, but I don't. So you go to a gathering of the community, if you can visualize that for a second. And someone walks up to you and say, "Hey, Mishack, what do you do?" You need to answer the question, by the way. You're role playing. "Hey, Mishack, what do you do? We're at this community gathering. It could be at community ministries or whatever. So I come up to you and I say to you, you need to answer this question in line with the first draft MTP you have. What do you do, Mishack? What do you do?"
Hi, Liezel. I am currently, sure, yeah, this is quite interesting.
You failed. You've seen. So just
Yeah.
the fact that you couldn't answer this question, if you go further down, if on the same page, you scroll further down, if you see, so Pat, I'm Liezel, I'm Pat in this instance, Mishack, you the Chris in this instance, and so on. So if you just said to me, "Oh no, I create sustainable communities with entrepreneurs and consumers," I would have said, "Oh, interesting." It wouldn't have got the wow response out of me. And you didn't get the, "Oh, that's great. Tell me more," out of me.
Okay.
Yeah, me. Am I leaning into the conversation or am I disengaging from the conversation? So what we want is your MTP must get the person asking you the "Hi, Mishack, what do you do?" question based on your response to lean in, wants to learn more versus, "Oh, that's interesting. Great seeing you, Mishack," and chatting to the next person. Now that we went through the checklist of your current version of your MTP, and I did throw another version on the table, and it's still not perfect because it's my words that I've used, is you now need to go away. Go through the answers to the questions you've provided again and have a go at your next MTP. Do you think you need to draft a second version of your MTP based on what we've just said?
Yes.
Okay. I want to hear the passion that you had in you in the first version and the passion when you spoke about the answering the last three questions. It's not coming through in that MTP for me.
Yep, I agree.
I'm not being unfair. If you're happy with that MTP, right? But we've already, when we went through the checklist, It's lacking some of the qualities it must include, and it has some of the qualities in it that it must exclude, and then do that as the test.
Okay.
So just put in there draft 1 and with the first one. If you go up, not there, first draft.
Oh, it's the first one, yeah.
That's your first draft. So what you now need to go is, based on this conversation we just had, come up with a second draft over there. Yeah. And you need to go and then go to people whom you know and who doesn't know you that well, and tell them that you just want to do a little bit of a role play. And what they must do is just naturally ask you, what do you do? They mustn't work at doing the role play with you. And from their responses, you'll gauge very quickly whether you have a well-structured MTP now.
Okay.
Okay. So you mustn't tell them you need to role play now with me. You just go to them, can I tell you what I do? You know, and then tell them. I mean, if you go to crates, say, hey, can I tell you about my MTP? And then you just give them that one sentence. Don't explain it to them, because you shouldn't have to explain your MTP to anybody. So, hey, crate T, can I tell you about my MTP? And you just give it to them, then the second draft. And then you see the reaction. If they say, oh, wow, or amazing, then you know you're on the right track. If it's a complex response of, oh, explain a bit more to me, then you know you're in trouble.
Okay.
And then with a few other people as well.
Makes sense.
And we do that for homework.
Yes. Well, I'll do that. So should I do draft 2 or draft 2 and 3, or just draft 2?
Draft 2. You're going to do draft 2. You're going to check against whether it meets the requirements, that checklist we went through. Then on draft 2, you're going to do that quick test. And then you'll know whether you need to do a draft 3. Okay. Are you happy with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because what you need to get to, the best first quick test for me is that once I've drafted an MTP, when we just started democratizing entrepreneurship with XO Futures, it's such a journey we went through. But when we got to that MTP, it didn't truly inspire emotion in me. But when we got to the second draft for XO Futures, when we opened it up and when we didn't restrict it, whenever I told people what our MTP is, it literally brought emotions out within me. Good, positive emotions. Actually, must bring tears to your eyes,
Okay.
That's a good first test. It must inspire that emotions that brought you to this pivot, and now your second draft. So just to summarize, you've completed the questions. We did a first draft. We did the checklist, and we did the quick test on that. We're going to do a second draft now. The second draft, you're going to write. You're going to go through the checklist. Does it meet those requirements? Does it bring out the emotions within you that it needs to? And then you're going to do a quick test with a couple of people where you tell them what your MTP is and test what their reactions are. That will bring us to maybe you drafting a third MTP, and then we can meet. Are we meeting next week again?
Yes, we can meet next week again.
So you either have a third draft or just a second draft by that.
Yes.
Is it okay if we meet at 10 o'clock next week?
Yes, that's fine. So the first 3 or 4 hours of my Mondays, between 9 and 1, I've dedicated those to you and Craig.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. I was going to suggest to you last week when the 3 of us met that block out time for this work.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Liezel.
Don't get inspired.